till we get started. Who do I have joining me? Oh, good morning, Brenda. Good to see you if you're out there in Facebook land joining me for Hips and Hamstrings class today. I had just posted just now, and I'll give you a couple of minutes maybe just to grab it, but you're going to want a strap, and if you don't have a strap, a men's tie or a scarf or a belt, anything that you can wrap around your foot so that we can do our three-way hip and hamstring stretch at the end of our class. You're going to want to have that handy. A small blanket. If you don't have a small blanket, you could use like a bath towel, an extra yoga mat, something like that. Any of those things will work. I'm just going to slide my mat a little bit closer and see how that goes. All right. So, hips and hamstrings. I find that a hips and hamstring focused yoga practice really gives me a lot of bang for my buck. So I notice that when I practice hips and hamstrings specifically, I see an immediate difference in the way my body feels and moves following that particular type of class. It's a class you can do anytime. We spend a lot of our time seated, so not only do our hamstrings get shortened and sometimes a little bit weak or tight, also our hips get tight. So the two things combined then put added stress and tension on our knees, maybe our ankles, maybe even up to our shoulders. Because if you think of our body, we're really a chain on one side with the joints stacked on top of each other. So anything that causes discomfort in one part of that chain can in fact affect the other parts of that chain. Okay, so we are going to start, and I'm going to give you a couple of different options here. It all depends on what makes you feel the most comfortable, what your body needs at the opening of the practice. So really be intuitive about that. How do I feel? What might be a really good idea in this starting position to help me begin to find a little bit more ease and comfort in my body. So options, you could start with a chest opening posture. So I have my blanket kind of rolled up or stacked, and I'm going to potentially lay down to where about the bottom of my shoulder blades are, and allow my head to come on the other side, my arms out to the sides, and that just elevates your chest a little bit, which takes the tension off the muscles of the back and starts to stretch and open the muscles on the front of your body. So if you're feeling like you find yourself a lot rounded forward, this is a great way to start. You can have your knees bent, you can stretch your legs out long, you can even bring the soles of your feet together. So kind of play around with it and see what's most comfortable for you. Another option, again, last week we did a psoas release class. So you could start in that really, really gentle psoas stretch if you like. So then you're going to want to bring that blanket and put it now under your hips, under your sit bones, and then you're going to want to come back down onto the mat. Again, the knees can be bent, the legs can be stretched out, and the arms can rest by the sides. You're going to want to bring those shoulder blades a little bit underneath the back to support, and be conscious of keeping space in between your ears and your shoulders, not letting the shoulders creep up to the ears. Good. So bring those shoulder blades into a nice position on your back. And in this particular position with your hips now a little bit elevated, you're stretching your hip flexor, your psoas muscle, giving it a little bit of a stretch to begin your practice. So that's another option. Third option, if your hamstrings are your challenge, you're going to want to bring that blanket, roll it up, place it under your knees now, and then come back down onto the mat. And again, find a good position for your shoulder blades coming slightly together under the back, feeling that support and slight openness across the front of the body with the hands resting out to the sides and then the eyes softly closed. So whichever position suits your body best this morning, that's where I want you to begin. So I'm going to give you a moment or two just to settle in. I'm going to come back to seated, but please find a position that's appropriate for your own body this morning as we begin our practice. take a moment or two to settle into the sensation of your body resting on your mat. Pay attention to where your body touches the mat. Noticing that as we become aware of the body and the mat, we start to feel a little bit more grounded. We start to feel a little bit more centered. We start to feel a little bit more connected to ourselves. Allowing yourself maybe a moment or two to wiggle around until you can settle. And then I want you to switch your focus and your attention and your awareness to your breathing. We know that our breath is a powerful tool to help us find a deeper space of relaxation. Again, it adds to that sensation of groundedness, feeling centered, capable, and in touch with ourselves. So notice the breath, gently moving in the body without the need to change the breath, simply observing the breath. Noticing the inhale and noticing the exhale. And as we become aware of that gentle sensation of the breath coming and going, that ebb and flow of breath that we really don't have to think about, that simply happens, let's decide to change that a little bit. So actually become intentional with our breathing. So inhaling to a count of 4, holding the breath for a count of 4, exhaling to that same count of 4, and then holding the breath out for a count of 4. And we call this boxed breathing. So continuing breathing in, 2, 3, 4, holding, 2, 3, 4, breathing out, 2, 3, 4, holding out, 2, 3, 4. Good, and then just continue that breath pattern for a few cycles on your own. Again, never forcing the breath, simply aware of the breath. So recently I taught a class entitled Protecting the Asset, and I would like to circle back around to that same theme because it's such an important theme right now in the context of what we're experiencing with COVID-19 and being isolated, away from our friends and our families, trying to figure out what it is we're supposed to do in this time and space. Well, let's consider this fact. The best asset we have for making a contribution to the world is ourselves. If we underinvest in ourselves, and by that I mean underinvest in our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, we damage the very tool we need to make our highest contribution. So I want you to think about that very idea. You are the best asset you have for making a contribution to the world. So in this time and space, what can you do to take good care of yourself? What can you do to take care of your mind? What can you do to take care of your body? What can you do to take care of your spirit? So when we think about that, and we think about practicing the concept of protecting the asset, we know that that requires us to be mindful. It requires us to be attentive. It requires us to be careful and aware. And the only time we can be mindful is, indeed, right here in the moment. We can't imagine or demand mindfulness. We can only be mindful. And that requires us training our mindful muscle. And that takes practice, and that takes perseverance. Good. So go ahead and establish that space of stillness, scanning the body, noticing what is present for you physically. Scanning your mind and noticing any preoccupations, noticing your mood, noticing your state of mind in this moment. And then scan your heart space, acknowledging any feelings, any emotions that exist there. And then go ahead and interlace your fingers and rest them over your heart. I want you to take 3 deep breaths, and as you take those deep breaths, I want you to feel a smile arise inwardly. So inhaling nice and deep, filling the lungs, and then exhaling completely. Good, and do that a couple more times. Inhaling, bringing that oxygen into the body, and exhaling and releasing. Good, one last time. Inhaling nice and deep, and exhaling and release. And if you like, set an intention for your class today. Set an intention perhaps to be mindful of your body and the sensations you experience. Be mindful of your mind, the thoughts that come and go, and be mindful of your feelings that arise through the practice today. Give yourself permission to sense that your effort will be greatly beneficial to your body, to your mind, and to your spirit. And as you feel ready, allow your hands to come to rest by the sides of your body. We're going to move into our practice. I want you to work at maintaining a nice, smooth, even breath all the way through the practice today, staying attentive to the breath. And together we'll come to a place that's free of any competition, that's free of any expectation, and that's free of any judgment. Good. So whatever props you have underneath your body, I'm going to invite you to just roll up for a moment. Take that blanket or anything else and just move it out of your way. Bring my strap over to the other side so it's kind of handy for later. Let's move it up there. Good. And then we're going to come back down onto our back. We're going to draw those knees gently into our chest. Your hands can rest on your thighs, on your hamstrings, or you can interlace the fingers over the shins, whatever feels best. And just begin to rock side to side. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you practice with me, you'll realize that because I seem to spend a lot of time rocking back and forth. Tight muscles in my back, for sure. This gives it a little gentle massage. Feels pretty good. We can gently draw the thighs onto the belly, add a little extra weight, lift the hips off the floor if we like it, a little bit more to that mid-back. Good, and then let's come to rest at center. We're going to lower the feet, and we're going to start first by opening the body with bridge pose. So we want to do a little bit of dynamic movement to get the joints warmed up, to get the muscles warmed up and ready for the work of our practice. So walk our fingers down towards our heels, walk our heels perhaps a little bit closer to the fingers, tuck those shoulder blades under the back, and tuck the tummy in. And on our inhale, pressing into our feet to lift our hips, and on our exhale, gently lower. Good, so inhale, lifting, and exhale, lowering. So we're flowing with our breath here, gently moving without forcing anything to happen, just being mindful. Starting to wake the body up. Gentle stretch for those quads in the front of the body. Good, maybe one more time. Inhaling, lifting, and exhaling, lowering. Let's add in a little bit of arm movement now. So as we inhale, lift your right arm up and reach it back behind you. And as you exhale, bring the hand down by your side. Tucking the tummy in, inhale, lifting the hips and reaching that left arm back. Exhale and lower. Good, and again, inhale and lift, right arm, exhale and lower. Inhale and lift, left arm, exhale and lower. One more time on each side. Inhale, lifting, and exhale, lowering. Good, last one, inhale, lifting, and exhale, lowering. Good, now tucking that tummy in, pressing into the feet. Again, inhale, lift down, both arms reach up and reach back. Come right up onto the tops of your shoulder blades, kind of towards your shoulders, and stay there for a moment or two. Try not to turn your head at all side to side. Keep looking straight up towards the ceiling. Breathing and opening. Good, and then lowering the arms and lowering the hips at the same time. And then gently bringing those knees back into the chest, easing out that low back. Awesome. All right, bring the feet down onto the mat. We're going to reach our arms out wide to the sides and heel toe our feet out wide as well. And some gentle rotation now for the lower body. So inhale, breathing at center. Exhale, dropping knees to the right. Just some gentle windshield wipers. Inhale, knees to center. Exhale, knees to the left. Good. Inhale and exhale. Good. Just keep moving at your own pace with your own breath. Awesome. Side to side, up to center, and over, and up to center, and over. Very nice. And one more time, we're coming up to center, dropping now knees to right, and just let them stay there. If you like, take your right ankle and set it on the top of that left thigh. And then let's turn the palms of our hands over, down onto the ground. And walk the fingertips away so that you're kind of stretching those biceps and stretching through that shoulder. So tiptoeing the fingers away from center, as if you're reaching opposite walls. And also you can turn your head over to the left, a little rotation for the neck, or you can continue to gaze straight up towards the ceiling. We're just holding, breathing. And let's unwind from that. Turn the palms of the hands over. Let's reach our arms up over our head and bring those arms back down by our sides. And then kind of like a little bit of a half rainbow, slide the hands up and turn the palms over. Tuck those shoulder blades under your back. Inhale here, exhale, drop knees over to the left this time. And set that left ankle on the top of the right thigh. And if you like, turn the palms down, and one more time, walk the fingers away. As if you're trying to reach opposite sides of the room. Shift your gaze over to your right fingertips if that feels all right. Good, we're gonna stay here just a few more breaths. Very nice, turn the palms of the hands back over, unwind the legs, bring those knees up to center, sweep those arms up over your head, bring your arms down by your sides, and then one more time, take them kind of in that little bit of a rainbow. Good. Reach them up over your head, and let those arms come down by your sides again. Awesome. All right, let's bring that right knee into the chest. We're going to start with a hamstring stretch on our back. So keeping the left knee bent, or straightening that left leg if you like, so listening to your own body here. And we're going to interlace our hands behind that right thigh and draw it towards our body without letting that right hip or sit bone come off the mat. So the whole length of your spine is down on the mat, and you're hugging that knee towards your chest. Now flexing your foot and starting to straighten that leg. So you're going to feel that in the calf and in your hamstring. And we're going to stay here for a few breaths. So straightening to whatever degree is appropriate for you. Alternately, you could always loop that strap over the foot and gently guide that foot forward, but we're going to start here in this first hamstring stretch. Awesome, just staying for a couple more breaths. Very nice. And then let's go and bend that knee a little bit. You're going to rest your right hand on the back of the leg, and we're going to start a little bit of movement for that hip joint now. So you can relax the lower leg and the ankle and just begin to move. So drawing the leg out wide past your rib cage and then bringing that leg back in towards the midline of your body. So just a few times like that, taking that leg wide and then bringing it back in towards midline, like you're lubricating that hip joint. Internal and external rotation of the hip. So in towards midline, back out nice and wide, and just continue continue that for a few more times. Into center, back out wide. Let's do that one more time. Into center, back out wide. And then hold here. So the hand can stay behind the knee. It can reach up for the outer edge of the foot as we come into our half happy baby now. So the knee is on the outside of the rib cage, and we want a sensation that the thigh is moving towards the floor, but the sole of our foot is moving towards the ceiling. So a little bit of dynamic tension within that stretch. Half happy baby. Again, if you like, you can always stretch that left leg out long. That will increase the intensity of the stretch. So again, whatever feels appropriate for your body this morning. And a few breaths here. Stretching takes time and patience. Good. All right, let's keep that left knee bent. We're going to relax this a little bit. We're going to bring that right foot down, and then we're going to drop that right knee open. So like a half reclined bound angle. The left knee is still bent, left knee looking up towards the ceiling, but the right leg drops open. You get a little inner thigh stretch, a little opening in that hip. Again, we're going to take those arms out wide to the sides, tuck those shoulder blades under the back, and just stay here for a few moments. Again, allowing that hip to open. Good, just continue to breathe. Let the body relax into the stretch. Now, let's take that left leg and stretch it out long. And notice that we've created tree pose, but we're laying on our back in our tree pose this morning. We're going to take our arms up over our head, and we're going to loop our left wrist with our right index finger and thumb, and we're going to gently guide that arm over to the right side of our mat. So creating length along that left side body. And maybe you might want to just flex that left foot a little bit, get some tension and some energy into that left leg. Good, breathe into your ribs. Very nice, hold, one more breath. And then slowly let's come back to center. Let's bring our hands down by our sides. Let's bend those knees up, and let's switch sides. So bring that left knee now in towards the chest, starting with that hamstring stretch. So hands behind that thigh, hugging it into the body, and then straightening that leg. So we're mindful not to lock that knee out. We want to get the stretch, but we want to see if we can engage the muscles of the quadricep on the front of the thigh as we stretch the muscles, the hamstring muscles at the back of the thigh. Flexing that foot adds to that calf stretch. Beautiful, stay there for a few breaths. Again, if it feels like a good idea, you can always straighten that right leg. Good. All right, so soften the bend in the knee, and just relax that ankle a little bit so that left ankle can kind of be loose and relaxed. And let's bring some movement into that hip. So we guide that leg out wide, and then we bring it back to midline, or even across midline. Take it wide, and then bring it back. Take it wide, and bring it back, and wide, and back. Good, couple more like that. Take it out wide, back to midline, past the rib cage, back to center. Good, and then take it out wide and find your half happy baby. So that hand can rest here, or you can reach up for the outer edge of the foot. We want to have the ankle now stacked over the knee, so there's about a 90-degree bend in that knee. That left hip or sit bone is firmly anchored to the floor, so you're feeling that stretch in the hamstring, in the inner thigh. And the sensation is that the thigh is coming towards the floor, but the sole of the foot is trying to move towards the ceiling. And again, we're going to hold in this stretch, and if you would like to, you can always straighten that right leg. Sometimes I find just closing my eyes allows me to more fully focus on my breathing. It's your breath that moves you through your practice. Good. All right, with that right knee bent now, we're going to relax that. We're going to bring the feet to touch each other, but we're just going to let that left knee drop open. So same thing, half reclined bound angle, the right knee looking up to the ceiling as that left thigh or left knee drops open to the side. And maybe now we might want cactus arms. So just for a variation, cactus arms is a little gentle chest expansion. Again, helps to stretch the muscles on the front of the body, relaxes those muscles on the back of the body. Take your time here, no hurry. Awesome. And when you're ready, stretch that right leg out long and find your tree pose. So again, noticing the sensation of the body resting on the mat. Do you feel both of your sit bones equally pressing, or are you leaning to one side or the other? And see if you can balance that out a little bit. Take your arms up over your head and loop that right wrist now and gently guide it over to the left to get a nice stretch from your wrist to your armpit, from your armpit to your hip. And maybe flex that right foot. Good. Take a few deep breaths and send them into those right arms. Good. Maybe just one nice complete deep breath, inhaling through the nose, exhaling. Unwind from that. We're going to bring those hands back down by our sides. We're going to bend those knees back up. And one more time, we're going to bring the knees into the chest. Take a moment to ease out some of that tension from the back. Gentle rock and roll, side to side. And then roll over to the side, press yourself up, and let's sweep our legs to the back of our mat. We're going to come into our child's pose. Child's pose is a nice opportunity again to begin to stretch and open the hips. Bring your big toes together, take those knees wide. Allow the hands to come forward, the head to fall down in between those biceps if that feels all right. And really find the length on both sides of the body as you start that gentle opening for the hips. Once again, nice deep breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. And maybe just one more time. Nice deep inhale, let's rise up. And exhale, float the body down to the mat. Good. Slowly bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, shoulders away from the ears, core muscles are engaged. Finding our way into our cat and cow now. So let's lift the hips, drop the belly, lift the gaze, inhale, tuck the tailbone around the back, tuck the chin, and exhale. Good, inhaling, lifting up and opening, exhaling, tucking and rounding. Get into the flow of the movement and your breath. Finding your pace, finding your rhythm. Nice job. Excellent. And one last time. Inhaling when you're ready, cow pose, and exhaling when you're ready, cat pose. And coming back to that neutral spine position, making our way now to spinal balance. So not only do we want to stretch our hips, we want to also strengthen our hips. So one of the ways to help with hip stability or pelvic stability is to come into our spinal balance. So we're going to take our right leg back behind us, flex our foot, and lift it to the height of our hip. Thinking about putting a footprint on the wall behind us, keeping those hips level, parallel to the floor. And then when you're ready, the left arm to the height of the shoulder. So draw that shoulder back into the shoulder socket, but feel like you're energetically reaching forward and reaching back. Beautiful. We're going to stay here, feeling that extension. Again, as we flex that foot, we stretch that hamstring. And then let's just lower the hand and lower the knee, and let's switch side. Switch sides. Finding that neutral spine position again, shoulders back and away from the ears, core is engaged. Left leg back behind, flex the foot and lift, energetically reach it to the back of the room. And then lift the right arm to the height of the shoulder. Draw that shoulder back into the shoulder socket. Keep gazing at the mat. Keep reaching and extending from the center of your body forward and back. Awesome, and let's lower that down to the mat. And now let's begin to flow from side to side with our breath. So inhaling right leg, left arm, exhaling, release. Inhaling left leg, right arm, exhaling, release. So gently moving from side to side, trying to create as little disturbance as we can in the hips. So using our core muscles, stretching out those hamstring muscles, inhaling, exhaling. One more time each side, inhaling, exhaling. Last one, inhaling and exhaling. Beautiful. Draw those shoulders away from the ears. Take that right leg back behind you. This time point the toes and sweep it over to the left and let the ball of the foot come down onto the floor. Now look over your shoulder towards your heel. Squeeze those inner thighs together to get that outer hip stretch. IT band stretch. That nice opening along the ribs. Good, breathe. And then slowly let's come back to center. Let's take that other side. So left leg, point the toes, sweep it to the right. Ball of the foot lands on the floor. We look over the shoulder, keeping both arms equally long. Looking over that shoulder towards the heel. Good. Awesome. Breathe deeply into your ribs and slowly come back to center. From here, I want us to take our hands just a little bit forward. We're going to flow through a little bit of our heat series that helps to strengthen our core and strengthen our upper body. So as we inhale, we come forward. We tuck our elbows in snug to our body. Bring our heart through our arms. Hinge at the elbows to lower all the way down. We come into Sphinx Pose, a nice gentle back bend. So with the forearms on the mat, shoulders away from the ears, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat, and then energizing the legs. Good, making sure that those core muscles are engaged. Gaze is a little bit forward. Feel the strength of the muscles in the back as we stretch the muscles on the front of our bodies. Good, on that next exhale, release down. Bring your hands by your ribs. Inhale. And then exhale and stretch all the way back into Child's Pose. Feel that release in the low back. Good, let's do that again. So lifting our gaze, looking at our hands. Our hands are reaching as far forward as they can. We'll inhale, coming forward, modified plank. We'll tuck those elbows, come forward and lower down. And now keeping the hands where they are, just lift the forehead and the chest for our Cobra Pose. Pressing again into the feet to energize the legs. Inhaling and exhaling. Good, and again, inhale. On that next exhale, press yourself back to your Child's Pose. Good. Big stretch. Last time, a little bit more with our breath this time. Inhaling, coming forward. Exhale, lower down with control. Inhale, lift up to Cobra. And exhale, right back to your Child's Pose. Awesome. From Child's Pose, lifting the forehead, curling the toes, lifting the knees, downward facing dog. So take a moment to look at your toes. Your feet are about hip-width distance apart. You want to lift and lower those heels, stretch the calves. You're stretching your hamstrings as well in this posture. All of the muscles on the back side of the body. Spread those fingers out nice and wide. Feel like you're pushing the mat forward, but at the same time leaning back into your hips and your thighs. Good. Lift and lower those knees. Sorry, the heels. And lower the heels. Awesome. So we're going to add in a little bit of an IT band stretch here. So come up onto the balls of the feet. You're going to step your right foot in front of your left foot, crossing at the ankles, and then straightening the legs.
Gently turn the head side to side. Keep everything relaxed and loose. Good. Take a few breaths. Awesome. Step that back to center. You can always come out of downward facing dog anytime you need to. Listen to your own body here. Shift and move and find the posture as it fits into your body this morning. All right, once again, come up onto the balls of the feet. This time, left foot steps in front of the right foot. We cross up the ankles, and then we straighten the legs. Leaning back into that stretch a little bit. Nice, deep breathing. And let's step that back to center, and let's look at our hands, and let's walk our feet to meet our hands at the top of our mat. Softening the knees, bringing the belly to rest on the thighs for forward fold. Let your head hang down. Tuck your chin into the hollow of your throat. And let that tension fall off the backside of your body. So again, knees are as bent as you need them to be this morning to help you stretch your hamstrings. And if your hands don't come all the way to the floor, you can bend the knees deeper. You could rest your hands on your shins. If you had a block, you could use a block. Good. Nice deep breathing again. Let's place our hands on our shins. Inhale, looking forward into our half lift. Straightening the legs without locking the knees. Shoulders away from the ears. Core is engaged. Exhale, forward fold. Release down. Bend the knees. Belly rests on the thighs. Head falls down to the floor. And then bend those knees deeper. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Awesome, hands by your sides. So stack your joints on top of each other. Find your mountain pose. Knees on top of ankles, hips on top of knees, shoulders on top of hips. We're going to lift our shoulders up, release those shoulder blades down our back. Lengthen up through the crown of our head. Reach the fingertips down. Draw the thumbs gently back. Find that breath. So variation for our sun salutations this morning. We're going to use crescent lunge. We're going to use a modified pyramid. We're going to use downward facing dog. So we'll move a little bit slower, and then we'll change the pace as we get warm. Let's inhale, reaching all the way up. Exhale, softening the forward fold. Hands on our shins, inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Bend the knees. Let's step our right foot back into our low lunge. And then let's bring that back knee down. We're going to inhale up. And on our exhale, drawing our arms back so that the thumbs are facing back and the chest is open. Beautiful, staying and breathing. And then inhale all the way up. Exhaling down. Let's shift back into that modified pyramid. Picking the toes up. Maybe hinging the body forward. Awesome. Roll back onto the sole of that foot. Curl the toe, lift the knee, stepping back into our downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Inhaling, exhaling, pedaling the heels. Bringing that breath deeply into the body. And now let's step forward. So bringing that right foot forward. If we need to help it, grab it behind the calf, set it up in between your hands. Bring that left knee down. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, open the chest. Gaze forward or look up. Some inhale. And exhale, shifting back, picking the toes up. Modified pyramid. Folding down into the posture. Good. Roll onto the sole of the foot. Curl the toe, lift the knee. Step that left foot forward. Forward fold. Release down. Hands on your shins. Inhale, half lift. Exhale for forward fold. Bend those knees. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to our heart. Good. And again, inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold, softening and releasing. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. This time that left foot steps back, low lunge. Bringing that knee down. Inhale, up. And exhale, open the arms back. Maybe shift the gaze up. inhale up, exhale, modified pyramid. Pick the toes up, find that hamstring stretch. Awesome, roll back down, curl the toe, lift the knee, stepping back, downward facing dog. And again, a couple of breaths. Lift and lower, shift the hips. Nice. And bringing left foot forward again. If we need to, we help it up in between our hands. We lower that back knee. Inhale and exhale and open. A little bit of a circling with those shoulders. Breathing. Good. Inhaling. Hands come down. We shift back and pick the toes up. Modified pyramid. Softening. Roll onto the sole of the foot. Curl the toe, lift the knee, and step forward, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Bend those knees. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to our heart center. All right, a little bit more with the breath now. Inhaling. Now exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Right foot steps back. Low lunge. Inhale, up. Exhale, open. Inhale, up. Exhale, modified pyramid. Coming forward and exhaling, downward facing dog. 2 breaths. In through the nose and out, and in through the nose and out. And right foot steps forward. Again, we inhale up and we exhale, open. Inhale up and we exhale, modified pyramid. Inhale, come forward and exhale, forward fold. Half lift, inhaling, exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, rising up, exhaling, hands to our heart. One more time, inhaling up and exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift, exhaling, forward fold. Left foot back, bring that knee down, inhale up, and exhale, open. Inhale up, and exhale back, modified pyramid. Inhale forward, exhale, downward facing dog. Again, 2 breaths, in through the nose and out, and in through the nose and out. Awesome. Left foot steps forward. Let's breathe that up. Inhale and exhale. And inhale, exhale, modified pyramid. Inhale, come forward, and exhale, forward fold. Half lift, inhaling, exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, rising up, and exhaling, hands to our heart. Beautiful. Inhale up, exhale, forward fold, releasing down. Half lift, looking forward, exhale, forward fold. So we're going to step that right foot back into low lunge, preparing for high lunge, so from the bottom to the top, and then sweep the arms up. Today, let's interlace the fingers and extend those index fingers into our temple mudra. So we reach up. Now let's go ahead and sink that body down, getting a little bit of a hip flexor stretch here. Maybe reaching the fingers up and back, a little bit of a back bend, a little bit of a hip flexor stretch. Awesome. Hold and breathe. And on that next exhale, we're going to bring the hands to the floor, and we're going to straighten that front leg for a variation of our pyramid pose. So it's a long pyramid pose. We're getting that stretch in the hamstring. Be very active by pressing into that front heel without locking out that front knee. Beautiful. Bend that front knee. Bring that back knee down. Let's bring our hands to the inside of our forward foot and heel toe that left foot to the edge of our mat and point those toes off to the side for our lizard pose. So in our lizard pose, we get a nice inner thigh stretch. It opens the hips. Your hands can stay right here underneath your shoulders. If you like a little variation, take your right hand off your mat and bend your right knee. Feel like you're peeling your body away from that left thigh Maybe even placing that left hand on the left inner thigh. Awesome. We're just going to stay for another breath. You can lower that back knee or back leg if you like. Very nice. Let's bring our hands back underneath our shoulder, heel toe that foot all the way to center. And then from there, step that left foot to the back of the mat for your downward facing dog. Good. Again, move the hips side to side, stretch everything out. Look at your hands, inhale forward into plank. Let's lower our knees this morning. Bring our heart forward, lower all the way down. Come up into Cobra and back into your Child's Pose. Big stretch. Lift the forehead, curl the toes, and lift the knees. We're going to bring left foot forward, in between the hands, helping it if we need to. And then from our low lunge, we're going to walk to the long side of our mat and come into standing straddle. So maybe heel toe your feet in a little bit so you're feeling comfortable in that stretch, inner thigh and hamstring, keeping a little bit of softness in the knees, engagement in the quads, feeling all four corners of your feet on the mat beneath you. And then from here, hinging at the hips, bringing the crown of the head down. Feel like your hips are over top of your heels. So you don't want your weight all the way back into the heels. There should be an equal balance, front and back of the feet. And hinging down into that, head falls down towards the floor. Again, easing tension from the shoulders and the neck. One more breath. Let's come back to our half lift. Wrists right underneath our shoulders, shoulders away from our ears. We're going to soften those knees. Walk our fingers around that right foot, facing the back of our mat now. So we want to do that other side. So we're going to come into that high lunge from the bottom again. From this low lunge position, hands come up onto the thigh, and then we stack that torso, and then we sweep the arms up. Again, finding that temple mudra, interlacing the fingers, index fingers extend, biceps by the ear, sinking that lower body down as the fingers reach up towards the ceiling. Maybe a little bit more back bend if you like. Good, breathe. Get that hip flexor stretch. And then on the exhale, hands come down and we straighten that front leg a little bit or a lot. So be mindful of how that feels for you. Draw those inner thighs together, actively pressing into that left heel. Right heel. And then let's bend that knee, bring that back knee down. Hands come to the inside and we'll heel toe that right foot out, kind of angles off to the side there. So you can stay here in your lizard pose, getting an inner thigh, hip stretch. You could bring your left hand off the mat. So you kind of bring your body weight onto that left hand. Open the body away from the thigh. Right hand can come to the right inner thigh. You can even pick that left shin up if you like. So again, just playing around with the position of your body, seeking always comfort and ease, steadiness and ease in our postures. Good, maybe just a breath or two more here. And then bring our hands all the way back to center. Heel toe that right foot to center. Curl the toe and lift the knee, stepping back to that downward facing dog again. Working at balancing all things out. Let's flow through that heat series. Inhale forward. In your plank, I'm going to choose to lower my knees. Come forward, lower down. Inhale to your Cobra. A little bit of a back bend. Exhale to your Child's Pose. Nice stretch and release. And then looking at the hands, curling the toes, lifting the knees, downward facing dog. Stepping your right foot forward in between your hands, once again walking to the long side of your mat, folding into your standing straddle, forward fold. Relaxing tension off the back of the body. Inhale and exhale. Let's find our half lift. Nice flat back. Bend the knees and heel toe in a tiny bit. Walk your fingers around that forward foot. This time back to your downward facing dog, but then bring those knees down, big toes together and knees wide. Coming into that child's pose again. Letting that forehead come to rest on the mat perhaps. Pausing and taking a moment in that child's pose. Again, just checking in with your body, checking in with your breath. Allowing yourself a moment to simply pause, to relax, to observe your body and your breath and your mind. Noticing the physical sensations, noticing your breathing, noticing your thoughts. Notice how you're feeling in this moment now. After we've spent a bit of time moving our bodies, observing our breath, and then slowly from your child's pose, bring your knees together as you rise up. Walk your hands towards your knees. Take your hands to one side and drop down onto your hips and sweep your legs forward. Just have a couple of postures seated on our mat, then we're going to roll down on our back. We want to make time for our three-way hip and hamstring stretch before we finish our time together today. So let's start just by bringing the soles of our feet together, walking our hips in a little bit closer to our heels, elbows to the inner thighs, and a little bit of gentle pressure, drawing that heart forward. So in our butterfly, cobbler's pose, bound angle, it has many names. You can move. You don't have to just stay stuck in one spot, statically stretching. You can actually shift and notice and see what feels good. Or maybe it feels good just to apply a little bit of pressure to gently bring your heart forward as you open both sides equally. We're going to keep the soles of our feet together, slide them a little bit away from the body, sit up nice and tall, relax those shoulders, and then come forward in between the thighs while trying to keep those knees lifted, but the feet a little bit further away from the body. So it just kind of shifts the focus of the stretch a little bit. Initially in our butterfly pose, we're focused on stretching inner thighs. As we move the feet forward, it shifts a little bit to those outer hips. Good, and if it feels all right, keeping the soles of your feet together, slide the feet forward, try and keep the soles touching. Maybe leave your hands underneath, reach for the tops of your feet, and then completely release into gravity here for a few breaths. Unwinding the hands, slowly coming up. We're going to go ahead and bend those knees in front, interlace the fingers, round out that spine. Awesome. Sitting up nice and tall, extending that right leg. We're going to bring that left leg across today. That helps to get into that outer hip a little bit more. Lengthening the spine, wrapping the right arm around the leg, left hand behind the back. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, turn. So arrive in your twist and stay here for a few moments. Typically, we're shifting the gaze over to the left. Keeping our body in this position, I want us to slowly bring our gaze to the right. And just see how that feels for our neck. Trying to keep all of the length in the spine. Good, now slowly bringing that gaze back to the left. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, unwind the body. And let's switch sides.
So left leg extends, we want to flex that foot. Bring that right leg across the body, sitting tall. Left arm wraps around, right hand behind the back. Inhale to lengthen, exhale and turn. Hugging that leg in towards the body. Initially gazing towards that right side. And then when you're ready, shifting the gaze slowly to the left. And just seeing how that feels for your neck, keeping all of the length in the spine all of the time. Good, gently guiding that gaze back. Sitting up nice and tall, inhaling, exhaling, rotating all the way back to center. We're going to go ahead and bend those knees. We're going to roll down onto our backs, hugging our knees into our chest again. Gently rocking side to side. Now hopefully you feel a little bit looser in your hips and your hamstrings. I have one more, which is a favorite of mine, and that's our hips and hamstring stretch. So we're going to start with our knees bent. We're going to take our strap, wrap it around the ball of our right foot. And let's lift that right heel up to the ceiling, dropping the toes towards the shin. Again, be mindful of the knee. We don't want to lock that knee joint. I'm going to gently guide that forward hamstring stretch. Good, a couple of breaths here. Taking our time again. Trying not to rush. Relax that a little bit and straighten out that left leg and flex that left foot. Take your left hand, place it right on top of your left hip bone, and then begin to slowly lower your right leg using your strap to guide that movement. So focusing on feeling the back side of your hips pressing equally into your mat. So not as important how far that right leg goes out. It's most important, are my hips staying equally grounded? Good, a couple more breaths. Very nice. Now tucking that tummy in, bringing that leg all the way up to center. We're going to place our left hand on that strap now, reach our right arm out to the side. Keep flexing that right foot. Now as slowly as you can go, start to move over to the left. So take your time here. You're going to feel that stretch in your leg change. You're going to get to other parts of that hamstring muscle. And then eventually, if you like, you can come all the way over into a twist, supine twist, using that strap to guide that movement, letting that gaze move to your right fingertips if you like. And you can always bend that right knee, listen to your body. And then let's tuck that tummy in again. Slowly guide that leg back up to center. We're going to switch feet. Left foot goes into the strap. That right knee is going to bend and the sole of that right foot's going to come to the floor. Again, feeling the whole length of your spine on the mat, flexing that left foot, gently guiding it forward to get that hamstring stretch. Keep softness in that knee. Feel that stretch in the belly of that hamstring muscle. Awesome. And let's relax that a little bit. Straightening out that right leg, flexing that right foot. Right hand goes right on the right hip bone. Begin to slowly lower off to the left. Use the strap to guide the movement. And as soon as the right hip lifts even a little bit, stay right there. So reground, making sure that you feel that sensation on the back side of your hips, equally pressing. You don't want to feel like you're leaning more over to the left. And then once
again, slowly bring that up to center. Right hand now on the strap, left arm out to the side. As slowly as you can, move that leg to the right. Take your time. And then if it feels okay, gently guide yourself into that spinal twist. As you arrive in that spinal twist, then be aware of your shoulders. They should both be down on the mat as you come over to the side. Shift your gaze over to the left fingers if that feels okay. And then tuck that tummy in. Slowly come up to center. Go ahead and get rid of that strap one more time this morning, hugging the knees into the chest, rocking side to side. Maybe circling out, circling with the knees, finding the edges of that low back. Good. And then slowly lowering the feet. So in our final position, again, think about anything that you might want to do for a little bit of extra comfort for your body. You could bring that blanket back underneath your shoulder blades if you like. Bring that blanket underneath the knees if you like. And that just adds, again, to that relaxing of the hamstring muscles. So allowing yourself to make your way into whatever is your final relaxation. Maybe for some of you, you even want to take your legs up the wall and do legs up the wall as you finish your practice. But allow yourself some time now to settle into that final relaxation pose. Close your eyes and beginning once again to move your attention inward. And as we end our practice together, you can choose to stay in your Shavasana, your final relaxation pose, as long as you need to this morning. But simply take a moment to acknowledge your body's ability to recover, your body's ability to adapt and regenerate. Take a moment to appreciate your mind and all of the many ways that it supports. Express gratitude for your heart's capacity to feel. And allow the benefits of your practice to be integrated on all levels of your being. Your body, your mind, and your spirit. And at some point in time, before you end your practice today, say an internal thank you to your own body, to your own mind, and to your own spirit. And I would like to say thank you for taking time today to literally protect your asset. I'm going to breathe for us as we finish our practice. Inhaling and exhaling. And again, have a wonderful day. Namaste.